At the paternity test site, I quietly swapped my own blood sample with pig blood. When the analyzer's piercing alarm shattered the silence, my mother and the fake Heiress sister instantly collapsed into a frenzy, but I curved my lips into a smile and even whistled a light, cheerful tune. In my previous life, it was this sister who relied on that so-called bloodline system to secretly switch the results of the DNA test between me and her. From then on, she transformed into the true heiress, cherished by the entire family, while I, the real biological daughter, was ruthlessly thrown out of the house and eventually froze to death on the street on a cold winter night. I will never forget how she came to comfort me with such false concern back then. She said, "Sister, rich families have lots of rules, isn't begging much more free, in this life?" Watching their hysterical expressions, all I felt was cold laughter. Like swapping things around, then let's make it a complete swap. This pig's blood is the surprise I prepared for them. Beep, beep, beep. The piercing alarm nearly tore the roof off the VIP room of the private hospital. The identification screen flashed with frantic red lights as a cold, mechanical female voice announced, "Warning, species mismatch detected. Warning, identified species, pig." A deathly silence. Mrs. Lin Shenlong, dressed in Chanel haute couture, still had tears hanging from her chin, originally prepared for finding the real heiress. At this moment, she widened her eyes, staring at me as if I were a monster standing behind her. Lin Wan, the fake heiress, originally wore a faint, confident smile at the corner of her mouth. Now, that smile froze on her face, looking particularly ridiculous. Pig, the head of the Lin family, Lin Guodong, was the first to react. He snatched the test report, his hands trembling. "Lin Sheng, what do you mean by this? What's flowing in your veins is pig's blood." I leaned against the ghastly pale wall and casually let out a whistle. The sound came across as especially flippant in the deathly silent room. "Dad, don't make such a fuss." I pulled a crumpled receipt from my pocket and slapped it onto Lin Guodong's expensive suit, freshly slaughtered at the market, 15 yuan per pound. Still warm. I had to bargain with the butcher for a long time just to get this tube. Smack. Shenlong finally snapped out of it and slapped me hard across the face. I leaned back slightly, already prepared. Her palm brushed past the tip of my nose, and the gust it stirred stung my cheeks. Because she used too much force, she herself staggered, and Lin Wan quickly stepped in to support her. "Mom, please don't be angry. Sister definitely didn't mean it." Lin Wan's eyes were red, and her voice was soft and delicate. She looked deeply wronged, yet still tried to put the bigger picture first. Maybe my sister just doesn't want to acknowledge her roots and return to the family, and doesn't want to ruin the harmony of our family now. If that's the case, then I'll leave. As she spoke, she made as if to rush out, but Lin Guodong grabbed her at once. "Wan, you're the daughter we've raised for 18 years, who would dare make you leave?" Lin Guodong turned his head and fixed me with a sullen, predatory stare. "Lin Sheng, I don't care what dirty tricks you learned while running wild outside for 18 years. Today, whether you want to or not, you're giving this blood." Watching this touching scene of a loving father and dutiful son, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. In my previous life, it was in this very room, I obediently had my blood drawn, overjoyed at the thought that I had finally found my family. So, what happened? Lin Wan activated that damned bloodline system. The test results came out. Her match with Lin Guodong was 99%, while mine was 0. I was immediately labeled as an imposter and a money-hungry fraud. Shenlong had my leg broken and threw me out into the snowstorm. Lin Wan, arm in arm with her fiancé, looked down at me as I struggled to survive beside a trash can, smiling like a pure white lily. "Elder sister, there are so many rules in a wealthy family. Begging is so much freer. Look, this stale steamed bun suits you perfectly." In that life, I froze to death beneath the fireworks on New Year's Eve, and in this life, I looked at the pale golden halo above Lin Wan's head, visible only to me. The bloodline system has been activated. Retrieving sample data. Retrieving data. Alright, I'd like to see whether your system can turn pig's blood into human blood. If she can't be changed, then who exactly is the pig? Bind her up. Lin Guodong lost his patience and waved at the 2 bodyguards at the door. "Since she won't cooperate, then help her." 2 burly men approached me. I didn't resist, just stared at Lin Wan with a half-smile. Wan, why are you so nervous? Your hands are trembling." Lin Wan's face turned pale, and she instinctively hid her hands behind her back. Of course she was nervous, because her system could not only swap outcomes, but also correct reality to make it conform to logic. In my previous life, in order to make the swapped result look real. The system even subtly adjusted my facial bones so that I bore no resemblance to the Lin family at all. Sis, I'm just worried about you. Lin Wan bit her lip. Really, as long as you take a blood test. If you're the Lin family's daughter, Mom and Dad will definitely make it up to you. Make it up to me? I let out a cold sneer and allowed the bodyguards to hold down my arms. The nurse came over tremblingly, holding a syringe. The cold needle pierced the vein. Bright red blood flowed out along the tube. This time, it's real human blood. The panic in Lin Wan's eyes vanished instantly, replaced by uncontrollable ecstasy. The halo above her head flickered wildly. Target sample detected. Executing exchange program. Exchange subjects, Lin Wan, Lin Sheng. Expected outcome, Lin Wan. 99.9% match, Lin Sheng, 0% match. Watching that tube of blood being placed into the machine, I suddenly spoke up. Wait, everyone looks at me. I looked at Lin Wan, a strange curve forming at the corner of my mouth. Sister, do you believe in karma? Lin Wan was taken aback for a moment, then replied gently, Sister, feudal superstitions are not to be believed. We should trust in science. Is that so? That's wonderful. I closed my eyes and silently recited in my heart, System, I want to bind. 2. No one responded, but I know that my rebirth itself is a huge bug. Before my death in my previous life, my intense resentment seemed to tear through some kind of rule. Although I don't have a system, I can see her system panel, and even exploit its bugs. That tube of pig blood earlier wasn't just a simple prank, it was meant to test the system's judgment delay. Sure enough, the system just now froze for 3 seconds due to species mismatch, and now, the moment my blood entered the instrument, I bit my tongue hard. The excruciating pain jolted me awake. I gathered every bit of willpower I had and stared fixedly at the halo above Lin Wan's head. Since you want to swap, then I'll give you something with a little extra flavor. Before coming to the hospital, I drank an entire bottle of high-concentration medical alcohol mixed with 3 drugs that would cause abnormal blood test results. A normal person would have died long ago doing this, but my constitution is special. Or rather, having been reborn, this body has long been tempered for revenge. At this moment, the alcohol content in my blood is enough to intoxicate an elephant, and all my vital signs are as chaotic as a pot of porridge. The instruments began to operate. Lin Wan's expression grew increasingly confident. She even began to tidy her hair, ready to welcome the coronation moment of the true heiress. Beep, the results were out. Lin Guodong couldn't wait to snatch the report. Shenlan also leaned in to take a look. Both of their expressions froze the moment they saw the result. It was an even more spectacular expression than when they had seen the pig earlier. How is this possible? Lin Guodong's voice cracked. Lin Wan's smile froze on her face as she anxiously leaned in. Dad, is the match rate high? I knew my sister would. Her voice abruptly cut off. On the report form belonging to Lin Wan, it clearly stated, DNA match rate, 99%. Additional detection alert. Blood ethanol concentration severely exceeds limits. Lethal dose, large amounts of psychotropic drug residues detected. Liver and kidney failure. Recommendation, immediate resuscitation and compulsory treatment in a psychiatric hospital. And the report that belongs to me, DNA match rate, 0%, physical condition, healthy, all indicators perfect. The system did indeed exchange. It gave my parent-child relationship to Lin Wan, but because the toxins in my blood were too potent, the system judged this as part of the blood attributes and conveniently bundled it all and gave it to her. Wan, you're doing drugs, and drinking too. Shenlan let out a scream, the sound sharp enough to pierce eardrums. She grabbed Lin Wan's wrist, staring at the pale skin as if searching for needle marks. No, Mom, I haven't. Lin Wan was completely panicked. The halo above her head turned into a glaring red. Warning, host's physical condition is abnormal, impacted by unknown data stream. Synchronization side effects have taken effect. The next second, Lin Wan bent over without warning and vomited a mouthful of yellow water onto Shenlan's limited edition high heels. Immediately after, she began convulsing all over, rolling her eyes, her face flushed red, looking exactly like a drunkard who had downed 5 gene of ergotu. So dizzy, so many stars. Dad, why do you have 2 heads? Lin Wan collapsed limply on the ground, starting to babble incoherently, even reaching out to tear at her own clothes, spouting nonsense that only a drug addict would utter. Doctor, Lin Guodong was terrified out of his mind. This was the tool he had meticulously cultivated for a marriage alliance. How could it suddenly turn into a completely useless person? riddled with all sorts of vices. Doctors and nurses rushed in, frantically lifting Lin Wan onto a stretcher. I stood in the corner, leisurely adjusting my cuffs, watching Lin Wan being pushed out in such a disheveled state. I clicked my tongue softly. "TSK, your sister's physical condition isn't great, just a little alcohol and she's already this drunk. It's you, it must have been you who did this." Shenlong suddenly turned her head, her hair disheveled, and shouted at me, "Your sister doesn't even drink tea normally, how could she possibly be an alcoholic or a drug addict? It must be that tube of blood you just took." "Mrs. Lin," I coldly interrupted her, "please take a closer look at the report. It's Lin Wan who has the drinking problem, while I am perfectly healthy. Moreover, the matching results show that I have no relation whatsoever to your Lin family." I picked up the report that belonged to me and waved it in my hand. "Since I'm not your daughter, can I leave now?" "Halt." Lin Guodong stood blocking the doorway with a grim expression. His gaze was filled with scrutiny and suspicion as he looked at me. Even though the report said 0%, how could a sly old fox like him believe something so absurd? A wild girl who grew up in the countryside, as healthy as an athlete, a pampered young lady, suddenly turned into a terminally ill addict. There must be something wrong here. "You're not allowed to go anywhere until we figure this out." Lin Guodong took out his phone and made a call. "Take this girl back to the old house and keep a close eye on her. Also, investigate that appraisal center again. I want to know if the equipment malfunctioned." I shrugged. Back to the old house, just what I had in mind. In my previous life, I was driven away before I even made it through the front gate. This time, if I don't tear down that Lin family villa worth hundreds of millions, I won't bear the surname Lin. The Lin family's old mansion was resplendent and magnificent. Just the crystal chandelier in the living room alone would be enough to feed an ordinary person for a lifetime. I was invited into the guest room by the bodyguards. It was called a guest room, but in fact it was just a storage room next to the maid's quarters on the first floor. No windows, just a hard plank bed, the master said. "The second young lady is unwell and resting in the hospital. The house is a mess, so you'll have to make do here for now." Butler Wang looked at me with disdain as he tossed a set of slightly yellowed bedding onto the bed. "And don't touch anything in this room. If you break something, you couldn't pay for it even if you sold yourself." I looked at that quilt and smiled. In my previous life, I lived here too. I was extremely cautious, helping the servants with their work every day just to please them, hoping to earn a hot meal. But in the end, Uncle Wang turned around and told Shenlong that I was lazy and slacking off, and even accused me of stealing bird's nest soup. Shenlong punished me by making me kneel on the cobblestones in the courtyard, kneeling all night long. "Uncle Wang, right?" I walked over and picked up that blanket. "This blanket, is it for a dog to use?" Uncle Wang snorted coldly. "You should be grateful there's even a blanket, you country bumpkin," still being picky. Before I could finish speaking, I directly threw the blanket into the fireplace beside me. It was a real wood-burning fireplace, kept lit year-round to create atmosphere. Boom, the dry cotton batting instantly caught fire, flames leaping half a meter high, thick smoke billowed out. "What are you doing? Have you lost your mind?" Uncle Wang was terrified out of his wits and hurried to grab a fire extinguisher, taking advantage of the chaos. I walked into the living room and looked at the priceless antique vases on the shelf, afraid you can't afford to pay for it if it breaks. I casually picked up a blue and white porcelain vase from the Ming Dynasty. Smack, the crisp sound of shattering was particularly pleasing amidst the chaos in the living room. "Stop, that's the master's favorite." Smack, another jade cabbage shattered into pieces. Oops, my hand slipped. I looked innocently at the servants who rushed in. "This floor is too slippery. How do you clean it?" The entire Lin family was in complete chaos. The fire alarm blared incessantly, and the automatic sprinkler system activated, drenching everyone like a downpour. Shenlong had just returned from the hospital, and as soon as she stepped inside, she was soaked to the bone. Seeing the mess all over the floor and me smashing the third vase, her eyes rolled back, and she nearly fainted. "Lin Sheng, I'm going to kill you." Shenlong, disregarding her noblewoman image, screamed and lunged forward. I nimbly dodged and tripped her with my foot. Shenlong plunged headfirst into the pile of unburned ashes by the fireplace, covering her face in soot. "Mom, what's wrong with you? Are you so upset that you want to set yourself on fire?" I stood on the sofa, looking down at her from above. "I already said I'm not used to living in the storage room. Since you wouldn't arrange a room for me, I'll just make some changes to the place myself." At that moment, the front door was pushed open again. Lin Guodong helped the pale Lin Wan walk in. After Lin Wan was rescued, even though her stomach had been pumped, she was still as weak as a sheet of paper. Seeing the scene inside the room, her already pale face turned even paler, but the halo above her head was frighteningly bright. Detected that the host is experiencing intense mental stimulation, initiating emergency protocol, fortune plunder, target, Lin Sheng, plunder content, family status and compassion. I narrowed my eyes, still want to come. Lin Wan's tears instantly streamed down her face, needing no build-up whatsoever. She pushed Lin Guodong aside and fell to her knees on the shattered porcelain shards covering the floor. Her knees were immediately cut, and blood flowed freely. Sister, it's all my fault. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Don't torment Mom and Dad. Don't destroy this family. This kneel was enough to move heaven and earth, to make even ghosts weep. Paired with her tottering body and bleeding knees, it instantly cast my malice in the most extreme light. Lin Guodong's eyes instantly turned murderous. Someone tie up this lunatic for me, lock her in the basement, starve her for 3 days. I watched the progress bar above Lin Wan's head crazily absorbing red energy. That was my fortune. If I let her fill it up, I would completely lose any say in this family, and might even be locked away until I died, trying to play the victim. Okay, my eyes sharpened, and I suddenly clutched my chest, letting out a scream 10 times more piercing than Lin Wan's. Ah! This cry startled the bodyguards who were about to take action. My entire body trembled violently as I pointed at Lin Wan, as if I had seen a vengeful ghost. Blood, so much blood. Sister, what is that thing clinging to your back? It's biting your neck, it's drinking your blood. I backed away in terror, grabbing the fruit knife on the table and waving it wildly through the air. Don't come any closer, don't come any closer. Everyone froze. Lin Wan instinctively reached for her own neck, although there was nothing there. After my shout, she only felt a chill run down the back of her neck. Why you? What nonsense are you talking? I'm not talking nonsense. It said it's the little spirit you're keeping, because it didn't get enough to eat. It wants to devour our whole family. Screaming as I spoke, I stabbed the fruit knife hard into the coffee table, the hilt buzzing with vibration. Dad, Mom, run. There's black aura all over my sister. That's baleful energy. Whoever touches her is doomed. What do wealthy families fear most? Feng shui, fate, ghosts and spirits. People like Lin Guodong, who do business for a living, are even more superstitious. He had originally reached out to help Lin Wan to her feet, but he abruptly froze with his hand hanging in midair. Shenlong also got up from the ground and looked at Lin Wan with uncertainty and alarm. Lin Wan grew anxious. Dad, she's pretending to be crazy. There are no such things as ghosts in this world. Fate plundering interrupted, system recalculating. The halo above her head froze. Because my actions completely exceeded the logical scope of a normal human, the system predicted that I would argue and get angry, but it never anticipated that I would pretend to be possessed, acting crazy. I suddenly stopped screaming, my eyes turned hollow, and I stared fixedly at Lin Wan. Then, I made a move that sent chills down everyone's spine. I stuck out my tongue, licked the corner of my mouth, and let out a strange, gurgling laugh. Wan, since you don't believe me, let's play a game. Let's bet on who gets unlucky first. The words had just left her mouth. The enormous crystal chandelier overhead suddenly emitted a grating sound of metal snapping, crack, right above Lin Wan's head. Lin Wan had not yet reacted. Be careful, Lin Guodong was, after all, her biological father, and he instinctively shouted out, but he didn't dare move. The massive crystal chandelier crashed down with a deafening thud. Ah! Lin Wan let out a piercing scream, scrambling and crawling to dodge to the side. Though she wasn't crushed directly, the flying shards of crystal sliced countless bloody gashes across her face and body. Worst of all, a severed electrical wire happened to land in a puddle of water right by her feet. Sizzle, a blue electric arc flashed by. Lin Wan convulsed all over, her hair instantly puffing up into an afro, foam spewing from her mouth as she fainted once again. The entire venue fell into dead silence. Only I leisurely hopped down from the sofa and clapped my hands. See, I told you there was a baleful aura. Actually, there was no evil aura at all. When I was jumping on the sofa just now, I used that fruit knife to cut through one of the steel cables securing the chandelier nearby. As for the electrical wire, that was a short circuit caused by the sprinkler system, purely a coincidence, but in their eyes, this was karma. Lin Guodong looked at Lin Wan, who had fainted and was beyond recognition, then at me, who was unscathed and looked innocent. His gaze changed from anger, it turned into fear. He swallowed hard, his voice trembling. Quick, call an ambulance, and go get Master Zhang, now. Lin Wan was taken to the hospital again. As for me, because I was suspected of being possessed by something unclean, or born with an ominous aura. No one dared to lock me in the basement anymore. I openly moved into Lin Wan's princess room, complete with floor-to-ceiling windows, a walk-in closet, and an ensuite bathroom, lying on the soft, 2-meter-wide bed. I sighed contentedly, but I also knew that this was only temporary. Lin Wan's system is still intact. Once she wakes up, she will definitely find a way to retaliate. Moreover, the Master Zhang that Lin Guodong hired is likely a fraud or could be bribed by Lin Wan. Early the next morning, I was eating bird's nest porridge when Uncle Wang led in an old man wearing a Taoist robe and sporting a goatee. Following behind was Lin Wan, her head wrapped in bandages and sitting in a wheelchair. Her eyes were filled with venom as she stared fixedly at me. The halo above her head had already turned pitch black. Hatred level full, force deprivation mode activated. Current target, strip host Lin Sheng of sanity and permanently turn him into a madman. How ruthless. This is the kind of pace that's going to send me to a psychiatric hospital for the rest of my life. Master Zhang, holding a peachwood sword, circled me twice with a furrowed brow. Mr. Lin, your daughter's condition is that she has been possessed by a vengeful ghost. He pointed at me and shouted. Demon, show yourself at once. Lin Guodong asked nervously. Master, is there any way to drive away the evil spirit? Master Zhang stroked his beard. Yes, but I'll need your daughter's cooperation. She must drink this talisman water, then let me pierce her forehead with a peachwood sword to draw blood. Only then can the evil be expelled. As he spoke, Uncle Wang brought over a bowl of dark, foul-smelling liquid. It was a mixture of incense ash, cinnabar, and possibly even hallucinogens. A cruel smile curled at the corner of Lin Wan's lips. As long as I drink this and then have the center of my forehead pierced, even if I don't die, I'll be disfigured, and my mind will be completely shattered. Sister, the master is doing this for your own good. Hurry and drink it, Lin Wan said gently. I picked up the bowl of talisman water and sniffed it. It really is good stuff. I looked at Zhang Tianshi. Master, is this talisman water really effective? Zhang Tianshi said proudly. This humble Taoist has cultivated for 50 years and has never once failed. That's good. I suddenly sprang up, grabbed Zhang Tianshi by the collar, and with my other hand pinched his chin and gave it a hard twist. Crack. Zhang Tianshi's jaw dislocated, and his mouth gaped wide open. I didn't hesitate to pour the entire bowl of talisman water, along with the dregs at the bottom, straight into his mouth. Gulp, gulp, cough, cough, cough. Master Zhang struggled desperately, but I was surprisingly strong. Thanks to Lin Wan for returning health to me earlier. After pouring it all down, I kicked him flying away. Then, I grabbed that peachwood sword. Since we need to draw blood to ward off evil, I see that my sister's forehead is dark, and you need it more than I do. Holding the sword, I walked step by step toward Lin Wan in the wheelchair. You, don't come any closer. Lin Wan was so frightened that she tried to stand up, but with her injured leg, she couldn't move at all. Warning, the host is facing a life-threatening danger. System defense mechanism activated, constructing an energy shield. A transparent barrier that only I could see appeared before her. An ordinary person would be thrown back if they ran into it, but I laughed. I didn't swallow it. Instead, I threw the peachwood sword to the ground and turned to rush toward the nearby floor-to-ceiling window. There stood Lin Guodong's most treasured feng shui fish tank, housing several priceless red arowana fish. Where is the demon? Right here. I picked up that fish tank weighing dozens of pounds and hurled it with all my might toward Lin Wan. The system's shield could block physical attacks, but it couldn't block water, and it certainly couldn't block the electrical socket that short-circuited when the fish tank shattered. Splash! The fish tank exploded in front of Lin Wan. Water flooded everywhere. The system's shield did indeed block the glass shards, but ZZZZT. 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 The water on the ground conducted electricity once again. This time, even the newly risen Zhang Tianshi and Lin Wan, who was sitting in a wheelchair, started breakdancing together. System overload, energy short-circuit, defense failed. Looking at the few people convulsing on the ground, I helplessly spread my hands. Dad, look, the master said we need to exorcise evil spirits. This electrotherapy should be quite effective, right? Lin Guodong stood at the dry doorway, gazing at the mess in the room and the hellish scene. He finally broke down. Madman, you're a devil. He tremblingly took out his phone. Call the police, arrest her, send her to a psychiatric hospital. I watched him coldly. So, are we finally going to tear off the mask? Perfect, I'm tired of playing this make-believe game too. At that moment, a dignified and aged voice came from the doorway. Who dares to lay a hand on my granddaughter? Everyone's movements froze. Lin Guodong nearly dropped the phone in his hand. At the gate, an elderly man dressed in a tang suit and leaning on a dragon-head cane walked in, surrounded by 4 bodyguards in black. That was the retired emperor of the Lin family, my own grandfather, Lin Zhentian. He was also the true power holder of the Lin group, holding 51% of the group's shares. In my previous life, Grandpa had been recuperating overseas. By the time he came back, I was already dead. In this lifetime, the reason I made such a big fuss, even going so far as to burn down the house and smash antiques, was to stir up enough trouble for it to reach my grandfather's ears all the way across the ocean. Dad, how did you get back? Lin Guodong's face turned deathly pale, like a mouse seeing a cat. In this family, he feared this domineering old father the most. Lin Zhentian didn't even glance at him. His gaze was sharp as a torch, sweeping over the mess on the ground before finally settling on Lin Wan and Master Zhang, who were still twitching. What a mess. When did the Lin family become a stage for charlatans to perform their tricks? Finally, his gaze fixed on me. His eyes were as sharp as knives, as if they could see right through a person's heart. I didn't dodge, straightened my back, and looked straight at him, dressed in cheap clothes, covered in dust, and holding a broken peachwood sword in my hand, but the defiance in my eyes was exactly the same as when he was young. Are you the girl who used pig's blood for the appraisal? The old man spoke, his voice loud and full of vigor. I threw away the peachwood sword and dusted off my hands. It's me. Pig's blood is cheap, plentiful, and filling, cleaner than the blood of some beasts disguised in human skin. Lin Guodong gasped sharply. How dare you speak to your grandfather like that? Ha ha ha. Good, well said, plentiful and filling. Lin Zhentian actually burst into laughter, pounding the ground heavily with his cane. This fierce determination is just like my Lin Zhentian seed. Lin Wan on the ground finally caught her breath, though her hair was scorched black. She knew this was a critical moment. She struggled to roll off the wheelchair and crawled toward Lin Zhentian. Grandpa, I'm Wan Wan. Sister has gone mad. She wants to kill me. She wept with pear blossoms and rain, though her face was now as black as charcoal, trying to evoke the old man's pity. At the same time, the halo above her head lit up again. Target locked. Lin Zhentian, initiating highest level favorability modification, consuming 10 years of the host's lifespan, forcibly altering the target's cognition. This is a desperate move. 10 years of life in exchange for a powerful backer. I saw a momentary confusion flash in Lin Zhentian's eyes, and his previously disgusted expression began to soften. The power of the system is indeed overwhelming, but I was well prepared. Grandpa, I suddenly spoke up, my voice not loud, yet it clearly reached everyone's ears. Have you recently been experiencing frequent heart pain, waking up precisely at 3 in the morning every day, with numbness in your left arm? Lin Zhentian abruptly turned to look at me, the confusion in his eyes instantly replaced by shock. How did you know? This is his top secret medical record, which even Lin Guodong doesn't know about. Only his personal doctor is aware. I pointed at Lin Wan. Because she did it. You're lying. Lin Wan screamed. Grandpa, she's trying to drive a wedge between us. I smiled, walked over to Lin Wan, and crouched down in front of her. Whether this is nonsense or not, we'll know once we test it. I turned to look at Lin Zhentian. Grandfather, there is a thing in this world called fate plundering. For the past 18 years, the Lin family's business has gone smoothly because Lin Wan has been continuously siphoning off the Lin family's fortune. The price, however, has been your health. I made that up, but the logic holds, because Lin Wan's system did indeed require energy to sustain itself, and that energy often came from the life force of people nearby. Utter nonsense, Lin Guodong shouted angrily. Whether it's nonsense or not, one experiment will be enough. I took out a pair of scissors I had prepared long ago from my pocket. Just cut off her connection to the system, and your illness will be cured immediately. No one could understand what I was saying, except for Lin Wan. She widened her eyes in terror. No, don't. System, defend, insufficient energy, unable to defend. I grabbed Lin Wan's singed hair. The system parasitizes the cerebral cortex, but its medium is often hair or blood. I made this up too, just to scare her. Crack. I mercilessly cut off a large handful of Lin Wan's hair. Actually, I applied a special chemical agent on the scissors. I learned it from an old Chinese medicine practitioner in my previous life when I was wandering around. It can temporarily block the transmission of nerve signals for systems that rely on brainwave control. This is a strong source of interference. Warning, signal connection interrupted, system forced offline. The halo above Lin Wan's head instantly extinguished. At the very second the halo went out, Lin Jintian suddenly took a deep breath, and his complexion visibly flushed with vitality. The oppressive feeling that had weighed on his chest for years had truly vanished. This is a psychological effect, and also because the system has stopped the subconscious extraction of his vitality. Lin Jintian touched his chest. Looking at me in shock. Incredible. Lin Wan slumped to the ground. Her face